let's get into it. By the way, before we start, I'm very excited. Kenzie and I just bought tickets to... Did he do it? Did Sam put something in my hand, right? Otherwise, this is just gonna be like really awkward. Sam, like, I want you to put something Japanese here. So there's like, I don't know if it's a flag or like something really cool. Yeah, Kenzie and I just bought our tickets to Japan. I'm very excited about that. I've been wanting to go to Japan for 2 years since we had like a 10-hour layover on our way back from Thailand. We're finally doing it. We're going in October, so expect some amazing streams in Japanese places. I don't know if you can stream from like the base of Mount Fuji, but if you can, I'm gonna do it. You probably can't. Anyway, let's move on to microphones. People don't like to touch audio, and I totally get it. It's one of those things that you just want to work. You want to plug in your mic and you want it to sound good. You like tweaking with other stuff. You like tweaking with your designs, like tweaking with your alerts, like tweaking with your camera, stuff that's tangible, stuff that you can see. Nobody likes to deal with the garbage of adjusting. Oh, where is it actually? I was gonna bring out a... Whew. Nobody likes to deal with garbage like this, where one knob is turned a little bit too far and suddenly your voice starts peaking and you have no idea why. Well, luckily for you, I'm the guy who studied this. Studied audio for 5 years, never got my degree. How annoying is that? I know a lot of people say this, but I didn't actually learn all that much in college. Most of the stuff I learned about audio, I learned from spending time in audio applications and mixing my own music for YouTube videos, and then, well, watching YouTube videos. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to explain to you every single thing you need to know about microphones as a streamer, and I'm gonna do it in under 10 minutes. I'm gonna try. Seriously, 5 years of my life and I don't know, $100,000 in tuition, and here it is in a free YouTube video. You're welcome. We'll talk about the pros and the cons of the XLRs and the USB mics and why you might lean towards one or the other. Then we'll do a sound quality check, a solid USB mic against a solid XLR mic so you can actually hear the difference yourself. Cool. Let's do it. By the way, if you want to hear my audio setup, you're welcome to follow me on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday around 6:30 Pacific time, sometimes Saturday mornings. Link down in the description below. Also, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out all this stuff. Cool. Microphones. Let's get into the fun stuff. And by fun stuff, I mean the stuff that's fun for me, because I like learning weird new tech stuff. And I assume if you're watching this video, you do too. So let's talk about the three main devices of every single audio setup. If you are a streamer or whatever you're doing, if you have a microphone capturing audio, these three devices are part of it. First, you have a microphone. Second thing is a preamp. Third thing is an analog to digital converter, or an A to D converter. And I know you're probably saying, oh no, I only have a microphone. No, somewhere in your setup is all three of those things. All three of those things are necessary, and all three of those things need to be good. And let me explain what those three things are. The microphone is the most obvious one. It's a device that has a capsule in it. It picks up your voice or your signal, whatever it's miking, and it converts it into an electronic signal that can travel through a cable. Now, here's something you may not have known. Microphones output a signal that's practically inaudible. The signal is very, very quiet. It's called mic level, a mic level signal, which is why the next device is a preamp. That mic level signal goes into the preamp. The preamp is specifically designed for taking those really quiet mic level signals and boosting them into an audible signal that we can hear, called a line level signal. This is why whenever you have a device that has a line in or a line out, it's basically saying here's a signal that is line level. You can't plug a mic directly into a line in because it's expecting a line level signal, and you're giving it a mic level signal. So you got your microphone capturing your signal, you got your preamp boosting it to an audible or a line level, but eventually it needs to get transferred into a digital signal, which is what your analog to digital converter does. It takes that smooth analog waves and it converts it into ones and zeros of a digital signal. If any one of those 3 devices is cheap, it doesn't matter how fancy the other ones are. A $2,000 microphone going into a $50 preamp is going to sound like a $50 preamp. Whichever one is the cheapest or the crappiest is the bottleneck. You need all 3 to be generally about the same quality. So here's a typical setup. Get your microphone going into a mixer like the Yamaha MG10XU here. Directly after the signal goes into your input here, there is a preamp built into the mixer. Then right before it sends it out the USB out, it converts it to a digital signal. So you have your microphone, your preamp, and your analog to digital converter in here. Here's all 3. If you're confused and you're saying, oh no, I only have a microphone and then it's going directly into my PC, into the mic input. Yeah, you have your microphone, your preamp, and your converter are built into the sound card of your motherboard, and I can guarantee you they're not good. If you're building motherboards, I promise you the preamp and converter are not the top priority of the motherboard maker. So if you're plugging a fancy microphone directly into your PC, it's not gonna be worth the money of the microphone. Which brings us to USB mics. See, you'll notice that USB mics themselves have a digital out or a USB out, which means that all 3 of those are built into one device. I've never actually opened this before. This thing is smaller than I thought it would be. So you have a USB device similar to this Blue Yeti Nano here, built into this single device, a single $100 device, is a microphone, a preamp, and an analog to digital converter. And considering this is a $100 package, which is usually, that's a typical price for a USB mic. And this thing is made of, this is a beautiful microphone. And by the way, this video is not sponsored by Blue. This is a nice metal housing. I mean, you're probably looking at a $20 mic, a $20 preamp, and a $20 converter. The purpose and the strength of a USB mic is to be simple, all-in-one package, plug and play. You plug that thing into your PC, you adjust the volume, and you're set. You don't have to worry about mixers, you don't have to worry about knobs, but compare that $100 for all 3 device to $100 for a singular device. Now this is a $100 microphone and it's just the microphone. And if you were to plug that into a $200 mixer that has the preamp and the converter built in, well, now you're getting a $300 signal. Maybe a little bit less because this actually has 4 preamps built into it. You get the picture. You're looking at a much higher quality signal chain. It's just gonna take a little bit of learning to figure out what all these knobs do. However, anytime something is more complicated and you have more control like this, you're always gonna get a more quality signal. This thing has built into it hardware compressors and hardware EQ, which if you learn just enough to tweak it right, you're gonna make your audio sound amazing. So now that you've kind of gotten the basics of what really defines a USB mic versus an XLR mic, there is one big thing that having an all-in-one device really affects. You see, I know it sounds cost efficient to get a cheap all-in-one device versus something where you have to buy a $100 mic and then a couple $100 more for the preamp and the converter, but there's a reason that's not always true. You see, let's say you start off with an XLR and you get this $100 Blue Ember, which I highly recommend, and you get a cheaper interface like this Behringer Q802 USB interface. Now this is not as expensive as the MG10XU. This is about $80, so the preamps and converters in it are going to be a little bit cheaper, not as high quality. There is actually a noticeable difference in quality going from this to the Yamaha. But the great thing is you've gone with a little bit of a cheaper model like this, you save up a little bit of money, you want to upgrade this to either the Yamaha or a Supreme device like a Go XLR. You toss this out the window, you keep your current mic, and you upgrade the preamp and the converters separately. But you pick up a USB device like this the moment you're ready to upgrade, which will be soon since you're getting much cheaper components. You gotta start from scratch. You gotta throw this entire thing out. I know you can use this with like a Go XLR. A Go XLR does have an auxiliary mic input, and this has a headphone output. So you can go from the headphone jack into the Go XLR, but the problem with that is since this is an all-in-one device, you're already using this device's microphone and preamp. You're actually bypassing the preamp on the Go XLR because you are using this one by default. You can't turn this one off. So they're just in general, they're really not upgradable. If you want to upgrade your mic, you got to start from scratch again. And you are now officially the smartest one in your group of friends when it comes to audio, which leaves us with one more thing to do. Let's take a microphone and a microphone, let's throw them side by side, and let's see if you can hear an audio difference between the two of them. I'm actually kind of curious about this. I haven't done this test myself, but this will be fun. Originally, when I wanted to do this video, I was going to compare two comparably priced microphones, one an XLR setup, one a USB setup, but the purpose of this video isn't to show that one by default has better sound quality than other, because you don't. Basically, if you have a $100 USB mic and a $100 XLR mic setup, they're going to sound just about the same. You might have a little more control with XLR because usually you have compression and EQ built into your hardware, but for the most part, they should be the same. What I wanted to show with each one was the strengths between the two. The strength of the USB obviously being its simpleness, its plug and go, all in one, ease of use. The strength of an XLR mic is its potential sound quality. So instead, we're gonna compare these two mics. Now this is a USB mic right here. This is kind of touted as the high-end USB mic by HyperX called the Quadcast. This mic is a solid mid-range XLR condenser mic by Blue Microphones called the Ember. But because I have control over what parts it goes into, it's going into a relatively high-end preamp and converter similar to a Go XLR. In the next couple weeks, I will be doing a USB mic showdown, really taking a look at which USB mic actually sounds the best. But right now, the Quadcast kind of has that reputation in its corner, so we're gonna use that one. So right now I've got them both recording and I'm speaking a sentence, and the first time you're gonna hear this, it's gonna be on the Quadcast. The second time you're gonna hear this, it's gonna be on the Blue Ember. So right now I've got them both recording and I'm speaking a sentence, and the first time you're gonna hear this, it's gonna be on the Quadcast. The second time you're gonna hear this, it's gonna be on the Blue Ember. Or maybe you're on stream and you're playing a game and you get really loud for a second and then you get really quiet for a second. What is the audience gonna hear? Or maybe you're on stream and you're playing a game and you get really loud for a second and then you get really quiet for a second. What is the audience gonna hear? Cool, I got that all recorded. Let's take a listen to it real quick. All right, so we're gonna take a listen to these on my big studio monitors that I use for mixing music. This first one is the Quadcast. So right now I've got them both recording and I'm speaking a sentence. And the first time you're gonna hear this, it's gonna be on the Quadcast. The second time you're gonna hear this, it's gonna be on the Blue Ember. I'm actually really impressed with the Quadcast. That's way better than I expected out of it. Or maybe if I'm getting a little more animated, like I'm getting loud in this one, and then I'm getting quiet because I'm in the middle of a game and my teammates need to hear. I thought I heard it in the first section, but when I got loud, it was really obvious. First of all, they're both very good, which you would expect from the highest, most expensive USB mic. I should hope it's good. But when I opened it up and I felt the microphone, one of the things I noticed about it was how thin the housing was, and I thought that might give it some really high resonant frequencies and kind of push that high end, and I was right. The high end of this, the high frequencies, are a little bit crisper and a little bit more invasive. It's very subtle. If you're listening for it, it's hard to hear it. It's more something that you feel. I'm gonna listen to it with headphones. I'd imagine it's gonna be a little more pronounced. I know a lot of you guys watch streams with headphones on, but when you have harsher high frequencies, it almost just, it's like a subtle pain in your head. Very subtle, but that's the main difference I'm getting from the Quadcast, is that the Quadcast has a little bit more harsher high frequencies, where the Ember is a little bit more well-rounded and a smooth tone. You get a little bit more lows and mids in the Ember. Let me listen to this with headphones. Or maybe if I'm... That's not headphones. Yeah, if you want to hear what I'm talking about, I would suggest putting on some serious headphones and listen to the two back to back, especially during the loud moments when it's more pronounced. It just feels a little more intrusive in the inside of your head, like someone screaming in your ear a little bit, because those high frequencies are a little bit harsher. It's very subtle, but if someone's listening to you for hours at a time, they're going to subconsciously be kind of over it. I'm curious to see if a USB mic with a thicker body or housing has the same problem. Something like the Blue Yeti Nano like this, with just a really robust, thick housing here, which is why we're gonna be doing that video in the future where I'm comparing 4 different USB mics. But for now, I have to say I'm very impressed. I've got some things to say about the gain on this and how it works. We'll do that all in the USB mic showdown. So in the end, my opinion hasn't changed that much. If you're trying to build a professional stream, your end goal should be an XLR setup. It's gonna be higher quality, you have more options, and you have more control. And by control, I mean things like compression, EQ, voice changers, all the things you can do with analog audio, which makes the purpose of a USB mic a stepping stone. You want to upgrade from your headset mic, which sounds like absolute trash, but you don't have the money to invest in a solid XLR setup yet. You can go an inexpensive route, get yourself a cheap USB mic, which is going to be a huge improvement, and hang on to that, use it for a while until you have the money to purchase an XLR setup. At the moment, I'm having a hard time justifying a high-end USB experience when that extra cash could go towards saving up for a solid XLR setup. But I guess we'll really find out when we test all the USB mics next to each other, and if this thing sounds 100 times better than all the other ones, it makes a little more sense. Either way, I hope this helped. If you have any questions or opinions on this, please leave it in the comments below, or feel free to talk to me about it in my stream. I mentioned I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, link in the description below. Also, feel free to jump in the Discord. We have an amazing community of people who love to talk about these things and discuss ideas. Link to that in the description below. Of course, links to all the gear that I use in these videos in the description below. And as always, happy streaming.
Right on me, right on me.
Oh, no! Did you no scoop?
Yeah.